May I speak to you about my son, Wesley?
What?
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our still unnamed podcast. I promise we are figuring it out. Just as a refresher, I'm Maggie, joined by my friend Jeff and Dory. Just to give you a little recap on the premise of the show, me and Jeff are both huge Star Trek nerds, and our friend Dory has never seen an episode of Star Trek in her life. That's not true, because now she's seen...
Until now.
Two. She's seen two now. So
Maggie, you lied? You're really setting our viewers up to be disappointed in this.
I've seen 3 episodes now.
Oh, yeah, true. So she's a Star Trek noob, and we are all going to go on a journey together watching through each episode of Star Trek The Next Generation, one by one. We might bundle together the two-parters. We reserve the right to split them up. With that out of the way, we are going to get into what is technically episode 4 of season 1 of TNG, called Code of Honor. Original air date, October 10th, 1987. And I swear to God, I almost said star date.
When we were kids and like Star Trek was a bigger thing, there was a lot of like advertising for it around, whatnot. And I cannot tell you the amount of things that I saw that listed like star date right on it. Like, let's say it was like a poster for Generations or for like a convention or something. It would say star date, and then just the actual calendar date. Like, I'm sorry, October isn't a star date. Stop saying star.
How dare you not actually do the math?
Actually, I think nerd moment. I think the math would actually be a negative star date because star dates begin like 150 years from now or something like that.
We'd be like BC in the star dates.
Oh God, wasn't 90s advertising something else? Jesus Christ.
Oh, it was so good.
Oh. All right.
Yeah, we're gonna get into the episode now by beginning with a recap from Dory.
Okay. So, beginning of the episode, there's like some kind of plague, which once again, why is there's so much like plague stuff and sickness lately? This is like a little too on the nose with our real situation with COVID.
I wrote down more plagues, too real.
Yeah. So this like one planet, they've got like a vaccine. So they're like, okay, let's go like see them. But they're very proud. They're like, they need to do things their way. So instead of using their like transport shit, they transport their own shit. And their leader, Lutan, he's like really into Yar really quick. And so his like person, his second is like, here's the sample of the vaccine for this plague. And he goes to give it to Picard, and Yar's like, oh, not on my watch. And he's like, woman. I think he actually fully says, like, where was it? I wrote it down. He just is like, get out of my way, woman. Yeah. And she's like, oh no, this is not how I play. And she basically flips him. And he's like, aghast, like, a woman bested me? And she's like, sir, it seems to be okay. And he's like, great. And so then they're like, let's make him comfortable. What do you want to do? And he was like, I'd like to spend some time with Yar, watching her kick a computer's ass. So they go into a room.
A room.
And,
just a room.
And Yar gets that jacket, which you think I would know the name. I literally took karate when I was a kid.
Wow. I'm disappointed.
Not very far. White belt, 3 stripes. What? So, I went real far.
A gi, right?
That sounds about right. So she takes her gi magically off the wall, puts it on top of her uniform, as one does, and fights the computer, of course impressing Lutan. And then Lutan's second, Hagen, is like, I can do it. I can beat this computer's ass. And he does not. That computer destroys him. So Lutan, of course, is impressed by Yar. I mean, who wouldn't be? She's awesome. And he basically does the smoothest kidnapping I have ever seen in my life. They're like, goodbye. And he's like, I'd like to say goodbye to Yar. And then he's just like, yoink, bye. Doesn't even say
Did you
bye.
notice Picard's reaction to that was basically a non-reaction?
Oh, there was no
yeah,
reaction?
He wasn't surprised. He just turned and then was like, Picard to the bridge. Like, you don't care? All right.
Yeah, that was like they just stood there and I was like, cool, somebody fully just kidnapped your head of security. So then there's like a whole section where they're like, oh, customs, he thinks he's really baller because he like stole something high risk in a high risk situation. I get like high risk, high reward, but this is too much. And so they are like, oh Christ, we have to do things his way. So Picard and Troy go down to their planet. I don't remember the name.
No one does.
And they're like, we would like Yar back, please. And they talk about pleasantries and some nonsense and their specific lines that we'll get into later. And then Lutan's wife, Urena, which, very quick side note, his wife's name is Urena and he's into this lady named Yar?
Yep.
What? Is that a coincidence? What, like, did they... Like, that just seems lazy. Like, and she immediately is like, he's like, I want to marry her. And Urena's like, no, I want to challenge her to a fight to the death. And everybody's like, that escalated very quickly. And so, yeah, basically, honestly, the rest of the episode, there's a lot of just talking and a lot of exiting and entering rooms that look exactly the same. Like, there was literally scenes where it just, Picard, I swear to God, like the scene prior, Picard was in the room, and then the next scene, we're back in the room. He enters, and I'm like, where did you go in the meantime? We did have a scene with you in a different room, and you're just back? Oh, and then they, like let Wesley onto the bridge, because nepotism. And yeah, I mean, they get her back. They have to do this fight on like what basically honestly reminded me of McDonald's play place.
Accurate.
And those like glove spike things, honestly, stupid choice for a weapon. My God, that was really funny watching them try to fight with that. It was ridiculous. And so there's like a loophole because Urena, so what's her face? Yar like kills Urena briefly. They bring her back to life, and then she's like, since I was legally dead, I get to move my shit to a different guy's shit. And it's very sexist. They're all like, oh, women get to own property, but men get to protect and rule it. So it's like, cool. So like the lease gets to be in my name, but if you destroy it, still in my name, and I get to suffer the consequences.
Yeah, I gotta pay the premiums.
Yeah, girl power. Yeah, so this, like, then we left the very sexist planet, and Lutan gets to live with his consequences of being really weird. And his own code of honor sucks.
Accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't love this episode.
This is one of, like, the first ones where I'm like, most of the first season, my feelings on it are, do I really have to watch that again? And this is the first one where I'm like, yep, I was right. Because the other two so far, I'm like, oh yeah, like this is actually more enjoyable than I remembered. Not this one.
Yeah, this was not my favorite. Nobody really gets a chance to shine other than Picard gets some lines in, but really there's a lot of Lutan and he sucks.
Picard, I find, actually gets developed a little bit more in this episode because they're focusing on him more than the other ensemble cast. And
yeah,
this is the first time that he seems less 1800s British ship captain, and we're actually getting some of like the Picard that I'm very familiar with in there instead, because, you know, he's a little more soft-spoken, he's a little more suave and clever, and it's just his dialogue was written a lot more sharply for the most part, except for certain lines that I'm sure we'll mention later.
Oof, there was a lot of racist stereotypes in this episode.
Yeah, I wrote down there's a lot of like stereotypical like Black and Middle Eastern influences, and there's a lot of pointed things that I was like, why?
So,
what?
Dora, you saw my list of like watch and don't watch episodes of TNG, and we're looking through it.
Yeah, I do remember you described one as the racist episode.
I described it as don't watch, actually racist, and yes, that's this one.
When I started, and literally when like the guys showed up at the beginning in their little formation with the rug, I was like, oh no.
Yep.
I already have a bad feeling about this.
Yeah.
They don't even look like aliens. They're just kind of like generic romanticized half like Eastern, half African.
Riker describes them, literally goes, not only are they closely humanoid, but their history has remarkable similarities to ours. And
How
then,
coincidental.
yeah, it just, I was like, yeah, Jesus. Like, there's also so much talk about they don't have as much technology, and there was just, why? Why would you do this? Why?
I could tell you if you'd like.
Yes, please.
It's like, of course, like the backwards, less technologically advanced race is all black, coincidentally.
So the episode was actually originally written with how was it? Okay, so the Ligonians, that's what they're called, the Ligonians, are supposed to be vaguely reptilian. Was the original idea for them, and a story editor got a hold of the script, and he started adding all of these like African undertones to things, and no one's really quite sure why. And the script editor explicitly said that the two guards, only the guards of Lutan's group when they beam upon the Enterprise, are African. And the director read that and apparently just kind of ran with it for everything.
Oh no.
And I've heard actually two stories about this. Neither of them is in very much detail. There doesn't seem to be too much info on it in the long run. The short version is that the director, Russ Maybury, was actually fired off the episode halfway through production. One version of events says that he was fired because he said, "Yo, this is pretty racist." And the other version of events says that he was fired because he was making it more racist.
Okay.
No one's entirely sure.
That's two very different scenarios.
Yeah, absolutely. And the assistant director is the one who actually finished the episode, and he unfortunately did not get credit for it, but he participated in the show for many years to come. But yeah, so like I said, fired partway through, and he's the reason that they're all African.
Yeah, it was kind of sour.
It was an awkward one. It was an awkward one for sure. I wrote down
Yeah.
that, like, if it weren't for all the stereotypes and all the racism, like, this would actually be a really interesting, enjoyable conflict. But I'm just, like, sitting there cringing.
I think my issue with that is, like, while I enjoy the conflict part of it, I really hate how they did Yar in this episode. I feel like they did
Yeah.
not do her a solid at all, because they keep, like, going back to those scenes where she's like, well, of course I'm attracted to him, and, like,
Yeah,
tricking her into admitting it, and it's like, this is really taking away her agency. It's basically saying, well, I'd like to take him to Boneville from a physical perspective, so we're just going to keep mentioning that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they just keep harping on that she digs him.
Yeah.
That she's into it.
And they like force her into saying that in the first place. So
Yeah, that's always been my problem in this episode, and like no spoilers, but Troy does this a few times where she just completely violates people's privacy
yes.
in public, because she can read people's emotions, and like she just fully outs that Tasha is having horny thoughts like in front of Picard.
As if that has any relevance.
Yeah, like, can you seriously not?
It kind of felt like, oh, I'm flattered I'm being kidnapped right now by this guy who thinks I'm hot shit.
Yeah, that was the implication, that they're
Yes.
trying to make, like, oh, Tasha is actually, like, super into this right now.
Can we call her Tar from now on? Just short form?
I think, like, it kind of reminds me of those people who, like, try to defend, like, catcalling.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, we're just giving a compliment. No, but you don't know what the woman's, like, reception is to shit, so maybe just don't do it. So, like, in this, like, they made it so Tasha was into it, but at the same time, like, she was fucking kidnapped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How would he know that she'd be okay with it? He just fully is like, he just, like, snatched her and was like, haha, mine now. And it was also found very, like, sexist to be like, and now I want her to be my wife. I currently have one. So then Urina's like, fight to the death. So but his conversation with Picard is like, so you literally do nothing. You just get to sit there, and whoever wins, and you get to reap the benefits regardless. And he's like, yeah, pretty much. And I'm like, ugh. men.
Do you remember his amazing dialogue during that?
Yes, I wrote down like half of the episode.
She is a rather lovely female. Female.
I hate that. I hate when people refer to women as females.
It's so gross. I hate it.
It makes me want to cringe into myself. And this happens. I read a lot of romance books because I am bored. And honestly, sometimes they are funny as hell, unintentionally. But I kill every time somebody's like, "Oh, that female." I just, say woman, say like even lady. I don't just female. There's something about it that just seems so not derogatory but condescending, because it's never in like an equal way. It's like that female because she's less. It just always feels so condescending.
It's dehumanizing.
Yeah, I fucking hate it.
Because, like, it's... Because we call female humans women,
Yeah.
So let's use adult words.
Yeah. Because I think Picard actually says that. I think he refers to Yar as a female. And I think in the context, he's just saying it to, like, appease...
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Lutan.
Yeah, he's trying to make Lutan think that he's on, like, of the same opinion, and like and get him to open up.
Oh yeah, because they have that exchange. I wrote it down. It was we understand that they are highly pleasant things, but after all, still unimportant, except for the land they own. Cool.
I see. You too appreciate the proper value of women.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, that was Picard.
Yeah,
that was Lutan's response. I was like, cool.
Also, in the scene in the conference room, good on Riker for being an ally.
Yeah.
And calling out microaggressions.
I have said this, not in this podcast, but to many people that I know. Riker is legitimately the, like, epicenter to me of what positive masculinity looks like in my younger years. Like, this is what I watched growing up, and I'm like, that's a better role model than other people.
Thinking about it, I have to keep watching because I can't remember specifically, but I think you might be right.
Yeah, it's definitely something to pay attention to.
I mean, he is supposed to be, like, the womanizer on the thing, but he's not, like, a jerk. He's not a jerk about it.
Yeah, he's never manipulative. He's always just like, hey, I like Bonetown. I believe you like Bonetown. We should discuss it, and then we can find out if you'd like to take a visit to Bonetown with me.
Also, sorry, just in that conference room scene, I have to point this out. Picard gives him, like, the little horsey statue, and the dude's like, cool.
Thanks. Wow, an avocado. Thanks. Do you remember when they first beamed down to the planet, and off to the side, you might not have noticed this, but there's just a guy casually juggling axes?
No, I didn't notice that.
It's after Yar gets kidnapped, and they beam down there in order to do the, like, okay, we've been waiting a day and a half, it's finally time to deal with this, let's beam down. And on the right side of the screen, there's just a dude juggling axes. Nothing else connected to it at all. He's just there juggling axes.
That's amazing.
It's great. He's good at it.
It's so weird because the reason they're on this planet is because there's a different planet that has, like, a disease outbreak, and this planet has the vaccine, and they make a bit of excuse that it can't be replicated and all that stuff, so they have to play nice with these people. That's the whole reason they're even going along with this shit. So Dr. Crusher's talking to Picard, giving us our plot point that we really need this vaccine, making the stakes high for the episode. She goes into this whole spiel about you've never seen someone die from this disease and all that. And then immediately she's like, oh, and another thing, can my son fuck around on the bridge, please?
Yeah, I love that. Picard's reaction. I wrote it down.
Oh, it's so good.
He literally goes, "What?"
Yeah.
Oh, yes. All right.
Yeah, he has my reaction.
Like, it just goes lower and lower. He starts off with, like it takes him a second, like, he forgot who Wesley was. Because he's like, what? Oh, yes. All right. Like, it just goes lower and lower and, like, less enthusiastic. Man, he does not like Wesley.
No. And I actually, as much as it doesn't make sense, I actually love that. Love that scene. Because just his reaction is so funny, and he's like, can my son fuck around on the bridge, please? And he's like, what? Yeah. And then she's like, he's here, so nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, oh my god.
You've got to address this now.
Because he's waiting on the elevator.
So, Dory, I have a question for you. They mentioned something 3 times in this episode, and I noticed that they failed to explain what the fuck it is. Apparently, even though it was an important plot point. What's the prime directive?
Oh, yeah. They mentioned, yeah. I think they mentioned that last episode as well.
Yeah, they mentioned it in passing once in the last episode.
Yeah, I think like something when Wesley was, I think it was Wesley and Picard mentioned it. I assume it's like, my guess is that obviously it has to do with Starfleet, so it's like an oath or something, like what their main goal is.
Okay.
That's what I would assume. That's what it is.
Let's not go into details for her, but just for now, it was actually, I think, in the pilot episode that they mentioned it once, and they've mentioned it here, but they haven't explained what the fuck it is, despite the fact that it's a very important thing.
They're assuming you already know what it is because they deal with it in the original series.
Yeah, but for new viewers, like, they wouldn't have a clue.
Mm-hmm.
So, not a great idea there.
It's their secret agenda. They have ulterior motives to all that stuff. They secretly, they say they want to help other planets, but truly they're going down to like steal stuff. They're colonizing. No, not colonizing. But yeah, I don't know. That's my guess. I assume they'll explain it at some point. And then I'll be like, aha, I was wrong or I was right. I mean, those are truly the only options. But
there isn't actually a whole lot to say about this episode.
No, there isn't, because it's not. It's a failure.
It's racist and sexist, and there's a couple good moments, and that's about it.
Yeah, I mostly have, like, my notes are mostly just, like, lines I wrote down, because I was like, what?
There's several good moments, including the Kittleys.
Oh, yeah.
That, I didn't even write that. I just wrote down kidney joke. Ugh.
That is the first scene of the two of them together, I believe.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's the first time they establish Data and Geordi's friendship.
I do like that they have a friendship because, you know, I do like Data a lot. Mm-hmm. But yeah, my God, talking about jokes, he's waiting for 663. he's going to do his 663rd. I was like, Data, why are you counting? You sociopath. Jesus.
Also, they kind of did a combination of succeeding and failing with show don't tell in that one, because they did show that the two of them had a rapport, which was good, and I think that the chemistry between the two of them in that scene is great, even though it's so short. But the fact that the two of them constantly say my friend, my friend, my friend to each other, it's like, yeah, we get it, they're friends. You just sound awkward.
Wait, I'm confused. Are they friends?
Oh, good. I'm sorry, Dory.
Can we go over that again? Are they friends?
I didn't mean to leave that part out.
I wasn't. I've only just started watching. I wasn't sure if they were friends.
The first joke Data tells is like purposefully unfunny, right? But then Geordi starts laughing at his like slip of the tongue.
That is equally unfunny.
Equally unfunny, and you'll notice that is a pattern in Star Trek where they tell you things are funny when they are very not.
Oh, God.
I laughed more at the Data was like, says something about like the counting coup, and then he goes, that is from an obscure language known as French.
Oh, yeah, and then Picard gets all irate.
Picard was like, Mr. Data, the French language for centuries on Earth represented civilizations. I was like, that's hilarious. French represented civilizations.
I think that was my favorite. I think that was my favorite moment of the episode.
Yeah, I did enjoy that. Oh, there was also a line that I laughed out loud at that probably wasn't supposed to be as funny as I found it. Mm-hmm. But it was also from Blutan, and he goes, then you shall have no treaty, no vaccine, and no Lieutenant Yar.
The way that he delivered his lines was particularly unique. But also the way that he was carrying himself was like as if he was always about to burst out laughing or about to giggle.
The actor?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was so...
I thought the actor was great.
Oh, no, he was great. It's just the way that he was carrying himself. He always had this, like... It was like he was about to burst out laughing. Not in like a, oh, this is too funny way, but like an I'm super giddy sort of way. Like, ooh, I'm winning.
There's also a great line when Yar was before she fought Irina, and she was saying like, "Oh, I don't want to kill her," but she goes, "I'd be glad to embarrass her."
Yeah. I actually really liked when Yar confronts Irina about like calling off the match or whatever. First of all, they do this thing where it's like, everyone loves Lutan. How can you not love him? I'm like, girl, seriously.
Very easily.
Yeah. But I love when she's like, no way, I'm backing down from this challenge or whatever. And then Yara starts going, and it's like, on my world, it's more honorable to refuse. And she's like, you are on our world. And I just thought that was kind of badass.
Yes, queen. But, okay, do you remember at the beginning of the episode when Lieutenant and his group beam aboard the ship, and right after Yar grabs that guy in order to, like, intercept him from delivering the thing to the captain, she, like, you know, twists him down to the ground. She walks back over there, and Troy's just like, don't apologize, it'll show weakness. Did you guys notice that 30 seconds later, the guy who got dragged down to the ground apologized to Lutan?
Yeah, he said something about like forgiveness.
Sir, I beg your forgiveness. And it's like, wait, but doesn't that show weakness? What the fuck?
I think it's like weakness towards them. I don't think it's like weakness amongst on their side, because they're already on their side.
Yeah, because that guy is already his subordinate.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
Right?
But they have exclusively said, or sorry, they did explicitly say, rather, that the Ligonians have not had much contact with other races. This was a big thing because they didn't have much to offer the galaxy.
Well, I think what it means is like, because you're discussing things leader to leader.
Mm-hmm.
So as a leader, if you apologize for the actions of one of your subordinates, then that shows weakness.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, so his guy was apologizing for his actions to him.
That guy gets thrown down twice in the first 10 minutes of the episode.
Yeah.
Poor dude. I mean, I guess he won in the end, so, I mean, he's set.
Yeah.
I mean,
He got Irina.
I can't support that union.
I love that they end up... they totally lampshade Picard's preachiness, because Picard goes on this, like, preachy speech about the Prime Directive. Then they call themselves out, being like, we're being preachy.
Oh, that's like one of my favorite lines, just because of how it ends.
Not entitled to ramble on about something everyone knows. But the audience doesn't know. Could you ramble on so the audience knows?
We don't know.
Do you want me to read the whole line?
No, because I can recite the whole thing from memory, because this was...
Oh, whoa.
No, not the speech, but, like, the reaction to it, because this was actually part of a song. And it's like... this is turning into a speech. You're the captain, sir. You're entitled. I'm entitled to ramble on about something everyone already knows. I don't know. I mean, I do, but, like, the audience...
You personally know, but like, a new watcher does not have a clue.
Yeah, the audience does it.
Plus, Fired Up Picard is real fun.
Yeah, he's really coming into himself pretty quickly in the series. I'm quite impressed by that, actually.
I like him more now. I mean, I loved him in the last episode. But yeah, he definitely... he's warming up.
He is a rather lovely male.
That's so cringy. I mean, but true. He can awkwardly lean over me anytime.
Heyo.
Hell yeah.
I have to mention the Chopstick Brigade. Holy shit. What a decision.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
They're clapping with chopsticks.
That was an interesting choice.
Yes, a choice is definitely a good description of it.
Do you guys have a favorite line or scene?
I already talked about mine, which was the obscure language known as French, and then Picard doing his little speech there.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed Yar putting her gi on top of her uniform.
Yeah.
I liked that there was one part Data was like, it was closer to the beginning, Data was like talking about something and just sort of turns around and everybody's like looking at him and he like read the room and stopped talking.
Yeah.
I appreciated that. I loved his speech, the like, By our standards, the customs here, their code of honor, is the same kind of pompous, strutting charades that endangered our own species a few centuries ago. We evolved out of it because no one tried to impose their own set of, I'm sorry, this is becoming a speech.
You're going to get more speeches like that as this season goes on. It's kind of a staple of TNG.
I love it. No, I love it because then he just ends it, like, doesn't finish his thought. I'm sorry, this is a speech. Also, my last favorite thing is when this is like the main story is done, they go back to the bridge and Picard notices Wesley's there and he's like, what the fuck are you doing here?
Okay, why are they letting Wesley do things? There's literally no reason to let this child do the things they're letting him do. Especially Ops is an important station.
Yeah, they don't actually make it that important in earlier Star Trek. It becomes more important later on, but like in the original series, I think it was the lowest. No, it was Sulu managing Ops. And when he wasn't there, they would just put another nameless character there instead.
Another 15-year-old.
I think what stands out the most to me about the episode wasn't any particular point. It's just every time that Lutan is on screen and he looks like he's about to start giggling, I cannot get enough of it. His delivery is just so spot on, and he makes the episode watchable for me, which is great because his character is terrible. Like, he's a creepy, womanizing asshole.
Sexist.
Yep, sexist asshole.
The actor did like an amazing job with what he was given.
Yes, absolutely. So I will give him props for that because, like, oh, buddy, you had to carry it through this. Anyone notice that there's no Worf in this episode?
Oh, yeah.
And there were clear moments when they could have used him on the bridge instead, but they didn't want to go through the effort of, like, putting him into makeup.
Oh, yeah, probably.
There's no word on this because there was a lot of, like, heated exchange behind the scenes, but there seems to be an implication that Michael Dorn, upon, like, reading the script, really wanted nothing to do with it.
Oh, I would not blame him.
Yeah.
This would have been an interesting episode for Worf to be in, too, given the Klingons' honor system.
I don't think they'd really develop that much at this point in Star Trek.
I was about to make that point as well. Like, that I don't think they'd figured that out at this point.
No, not really. But yeah, we'll get into that when we get to the Klingon episode later in the season.
Spoilers.
Nope, that's not a spoiler. It's going to happen. TNG goes through, like, just about every race that it can that's in Star Trek.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
I think, yeah, I mean, like I said, there's not a whole lot to get into on this episode, so this might be a shorter one. I guess we should get into predictions for next time.
Oh, yes.
All right, what's the name of the episode?
So the name of the episode is The Last Outpost.
Oh, Jesus. That is so vague.
Yeah.
Okay. So, here's my prediction that I don't know how much sense it makes, but let's party. So the Last Outpost, it is a spot in a planet that is basically empty, and they have to clear up whatever's left of it before it's retired or bombed for, like, resources or something. And the crew has to go visit it to get the shit before it's done.
Sounds like an exciting episode.
It's so vague that I'm really just pulling this theory out of my ass right now.
We might have to re-examine our decision of not giving you any nuggets.
We'll see.
Well, I mean, at some point, I could be right. Maybe one day I could be right in my predictions. I was right in the last episode that there was still naked people.
That's true.
I mean, they were frozen and dead. This one, I was not right
At all.
Yeah. But who knows? Maybe the next episode, one day I'll get something right, and then I'll yell that I'm a psychic.
Ha! I had a point.
And then I'll get all the credit for being right, just how I like it.
Just like monkeys typing up Shakespeare. One day they'll get it right.
All right, so we will join you guys next time for The Last Outpost.
Goodbye.